Yo, what is going on, pack members? Wolves here and welcome back to another video. And today what we are going to be doing is ranking every single weapon in the Crossfire Beta from worst to best. Now obviously all these rankings are going to be based off my own opinions and experiences with the weapons, plus the fact that I haven't used all the weapons equally since I know I don't have enough time to do that. However, if you disagree with some of the options that I pick, let me know in the comments below where you'd rank all these weapons. But that being said, I don't want to be dragging on the introduction too long, so let's start off with what I believe is the worst weapon in the CrossfireX beta. Okay, so at the number 16 spot, I have decided to put the Glock 18. Now the Glock 18 is a 3-round burst semi-automatic pistol, and it does have the potential to do decent damage. However, I feel like it can be really unreliable most of the time, and if I can primarily stick to the primary weapon, I will make sure to do so. However, it does fulfill its role of just being a basic secondary weapon, but the issue with it is that even compared to the other secondary weapon in this game, the Desert Eagle, it just doesn't feel nearly as strong. At the number 15 spot, I've decided to go with the AK-47. Now I know this is actually going to be a pretty controversial choice, but hear me out. When I first logged on to CrossfireX, I instantly wanted to use the AK-47, and when I used it I realised just how underwhelming the weapon is. Recoil is way too strong and its hipfire spread is atrocious, so even if you tap fire it, you're just not going to hit any shots. At point blank, the AK-47 might just be the most deadly gun out of all the weapons that we've managed to get in the beta, but in this game you don't really ever get the chance to be at that distance. In 14th place, I've decided to go with the Desert Eagle. The Desert Eagle is exactly how you'd expect it to be. It feels powerful and has the potential to do devastating damage. However, exactly like the AK and the Glock before it, you don't always manage to get that out of the gun. With the Deagle, I don't feel like I'm playing with a major disadvantage anymore. Obviously, compared to the later weapons on this list, I would rather use them. But compared to the AK and Glock, with those two weapons, I already feel like I've lost the fight before it even begins. In the number 13 spot, I've decided to go with the M14 EBR. And to be quite honest, I haven't really used this weapon all too much, but what I have gathered from the weapon is that its accuracy is not terrible, it's alright, and its damage output doesn't feel all too effective. I think the best way I could describe this weapon is just meh. I would use the EBR if I wanted to switch up my playstyle or just try something a little bit different, but if I really want to play well, this isn't the gun I would choose. Okay, so in 12th position, I've decided to put the Scar here. Now, I can understand why someone would want to put the EBR above the Scar, and I was a little bit confused on whether I wanted the EBR above it or not. I've decided to put the Scar Hero in the end just because of the fact that it's a little bit more beginner friendly. There isn't really that much I can say about the Scar other than the fact that it's got decent accuracy, decent damage, its recoil isn't too strong. It's kind of just your bang average weapon that has no perks to it, it's just there. I would say that the Scar is the best of the worst, and every gun that I'll rank above it are weapons I would actually like using, and from the Scar and below are weapons I'd try to stay away from. Okay, in 11th place, I've decided to go with the M1216, which is the only shotgun in the CrossfireX beta. I only started using this weapon for the purpose of this video, and I didn't have high expectations for it at all, but it surprised me. At close distance you can take out groups of enemies, which a lot of the guns in this game can't do. However, the issue is that you have to be close to them, and there's a lot of points on the map where that's just simply not possible. We are now in the top 10, and the weapon that I have chosen to be the first weapon to start off this top 10 is the Lewis gun. The Lewis gun is a heavy duty LMG which will decimate everyone in your path if you get the chance to. The only issue I've got with it is that with its slow rate of fire, it can be very unforgiving, that if you do not hit your shots you will lose. And also the fact it's an LMG, which means you move really slow in this game. When I use an LMG, I have to always run around with my knife out to get the max mobility, but the only issue with that is that if I bump into someone, it takes a while for me to be able to pull out the LMG, which means I'm usually dead before I even get a chance to shoot. In 9th position, I have decided to go with the Chris Super V SMG, which you probably know as the Vector. The Vector is a super high fire rate and surprisingly accurate SMG. The Vector feels just as strong as the Lewis gun up close, not so much at distance as you would expect, but the reason I've decided to put the Vector above the Lewis gun is the sheer speed that you can move with the weapon. I feel like speed is really important in this game, because unlike the Lewis gun, you kind of have to hope you just outgun them, when with the Vector you're able to strafe and jump to help stop you from getting hit in the first place. In the number 8 position, I've decided to go with the Thompson. The Thompson is a weapon with a high fire rate and a large magazine, and it's really classed as a spray and pray weapon. And because of this weapon will pretty much outgun anything up close and also take out groups of enemies. The only issue with this weapon comes under range. When someone shoots you from afar, it kind of eliminates this weapon's purpose and you aren't going to be able to hit them back. In 7th place, I've decided to go with the MG3. Now the MG3 is basically the Thompson, but it's being able to do its job up close and afar. And the reason that this weapon isn't in the top 5 or even the top 3 is simply because of its mobility. And I feel like the mobility on this weapon, particularly in this ranking, is very important. Because with the weapons that I put above it, that if used in the right hands you can get the same result, but you're faster. But because it's not in the top 5, that doesn't mean it's a bad weapon. I mean, the MG3 is lethal and it can be devastating. You can take out groups of enemies and you will likely win most 1v1s up close. But from afar, if you play someone that's got some skill, you will probably lose the fight. Okay, so this is the point in the list where I believe that people will have very different opinions. I think from 6th position all the way up into 1st are all in their own bracket. And if you're looking for the best results, you need to use one of these weapons. And in the end, I've decided that 6th position will be given to the AT-15 Afghan. And what I like about this weapon is that it's got decent accuracy, it's very easy to control, and it has a high damage output, which means that you can be effective at almost any range. And the reason that this weapon is down in 6th place is that the top 6 is such a tightly packed area that if this weapon was ever so slightly stronger, it could probably jump up a couple of places. So the weapon that is going to kickstart our top 5 is going to be the SG-552. I think that the in-game description for this weapon is perfect. It literally says the weapon has strong damage and high aim accuracy. And if you use this thing to its fullest potential, you will just ruin people and walk through waves of enemies. And putting it at a number 5 spot feels wrong, and I wish I could put it higher, but that just shows how strong the other weapons are. In 4th spot, I'm going to be giving it to the VSK-94. The VSK-94 is a weird looking semi-automatic sniper rifle that, if used by the right player, can be overpowered. And the only reason which drops this gun below the 3 guns above it is the fact that it doesn't always one-shot, and the gun practically one-shots 90% of the time anyway. Either way, I wouldn't be surprised if this gun gets a nerf when the full game comes out. We are now in the top 3 and I'm giving this position to the Galil. The Galil is probably my favourite weapon to use in the Crossfire Beta, and its only downside is its pretty dodgy recoil. Its recoil is manageable though, so once it is managed properly, this weapon is devastating. However, if this gun was only slightly more accurate, I think there would be a case to push this weapon up into the number 2 slot. And in 2nd place, I've decided to go with the M4A1. And the reason it's in 2nd place is because it's extremely well rounded. And maybe up close the AK and the Galil is more viable, and at range a sniper will do a better job. But the reason this is at number 2 is because it can do a job really well at any distance, and it can save you from any situation. And in a game where you don't know what situation you're going to end up in, this becomes very powerful, and I think it fully deserves the 2nd place. And we're finally here, the number 1 spot, and for anyone that has played this game for a decent amount of time, you would have saw this coming. The AWM sniper rifle takes a spot. This weapon is the actual definition of overpowered, and it has literally brought down my overall review of the Crossfire Beta. It can one-shot you from any distance, it has a very quick ADS speed, and also you can flip its scope to have a more close quarter scope, which is just insane when the weapon's already that powerful. And I fully expect a nerf to be on this weapon before the full game launches. But hey, that's just my list with my opinions, and we all have different opinions, so drop a comment below where you'd rank all these weapons. Smash the like button if you did make it this far, and subscribe if you are new with notifications on to join the pack. And that being said, see you later guys. Peace.